Hello everyone and welcome to chapter number 10. Finally, we are on chapter number 10. Today we're going to be taking a look at the channels section. This is going to be channels advanced trading, looking at everything that we have learned, building up to this kind of channels, to these kind of patterns, and also the ranging strategy. We already have touched on that with confluence and risk management. But we're going to be taking a look at maybe some confusions that might be in there, and also how to tackle up ranging, down ranging, size ranging, and well then all of those ranges out there. So I see we have Into The Crypto in the house. Welcome, first one in the chat. Also Into The Crypto, thank you so much for joining, really appreciate it. We also have Alexander G. Welcome Mike. Volmer, what is up, brother? Welcome, Volmer. Thanks so much for joining in the classes. Really appreciate it. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into the ranges in the advanced section. So let's go. All right, guys, so let's get started first just taking a little bit of an overview on what we left out yesterday, a little bit on what happening here, and also follow up on what was the predicted movement, and also how or where could we be finding those areas of opportunity, right? This is Friday, 9.4, the recap, rinse and repeat, right? So we already know what rinse and repeat is, right? So basically just look for the trend, breakout, retest, further continuation, bullish momentum, so on and so forth, above the zero line, bullish divergences above the SMA combo, so on and so forth, right? So if you're new here, please consider clicking that like button, and also I do advise you to go with trading OC. With OC, we started, instead of chapter number 1, you can see it right here that we started on live trading lessons and setups. So I'm on the way. Let me see if there's a way for me to just move out of here. Let me see. All right, maybe I can just get rid of this for a second. There we go. This is it. Starting here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, please delete. Well, 4, 5. Oh, come on. And then chapter number 1. Just so you know, I had to upload it twice or 3 times, so that's why I had it right here for please delete. I'll have to go over it and maybe just delete it myself. But other than that, take a look at those pre-classes, because this is when we get started on understanding what everything is. And then of course chapter 1 through 10 right now. All right, so what did we left out? What happened on Friday and did we make a good trade or not? All right, so let's take a look at here. So we were talking about TAO. That was the last asset. We also can go over Firecard, but so far this is what we left out, right? We have a beautiful trend, we have a breakout, we are going for the retest, and I told you guys, well, if we break to the upside, there we go, very nice. We have a bullish divergence, which indicates that most likely we could be going above the dynamic reactor. So the next thing that we're looking for, it is that our ribbon piercing through right here, and you don't see my mouse, right? Now you see it. All right, piercing through the zero line in here in this section, right? So piercing through, staying above. It's not about the breakout, it's about the retest, and off we go, right? Remember, it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. Also, we have Core W. Welcome. What time frame we bearish? I don't know. Depends on the time frame, whether we are above or below dynamic reactor or SMA combo. That will be it, my friend. If you have a much complex question or something with a little bit more context, I'll be more than happy to answer that or even go over it. But let's go into what happened here. Perfect. So what we got? All right, we had actually a fake outing here, and we didn't have that much of that confirmation. So we were looking for what? Breakout piercing through, all right, taking these highs. Did we take these highs? Not really. If you enter right here and then you took your profits at the retracement, you might be just barely taking any profits at this point, and then took you out. So once again in here, what happens? Did we find some support? Of course not. Remember, we wanted to have a breakout retest. What happened in here? Well, then we lost once again the zero line in there, so no entry. So what happens next? We wait for the next retracement, all right? And if you're looking at your, there we go, here is, at your linear regression, right? And also you're looking at your strength with the ADX, what happened right here? We were aiming up, perfect, and then aiming down on what? Bearish, and then aiming down on bullish. What is it aiming down on any of those? Lack of strength, all right? What we want to go in is when we have more strength, and what happens? It is on the next bearish movement. In here, we just wait for the breakout. There we go. We have it. We are on reversal zones, all right? And then if you wanted to go for a long bounce on the dynamic reactor, that could have been it until right here where we are at resistance. Remember, at this point, it's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. What color are we? We are blue. We are bearish. Crypto coin mindset, and if you just joined it, welcome Crypto Mindset. Really thank you so much for following your viewers to the channel. Really appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for jumping here. Hey Jay Violet, no long time no see. Melissa S, welcome in the right crypto. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. Clefant, Clefant. Oh my God, I cannot read it. I'm so sorry. Just so you know, that's why I call myself OC, because that is a contraption of my last name. Nobody ever can pronounce it correctly. But don't worry, I always try my best. Hopefully, I nailed it this time. Username. Welcome, OC, my Mexican Superman, my favorite. What's up, superhero here? Username, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You guys jumping in. Caffeinated Crypto, welcome, my friend. Welcome to the classes. Thank you so much, guys. Pick your seats and start throwing paper balls at each other. Let's go. We also have, who we have? CCM Raid. Absolutely, we have CCM Raid. Guys, if you're coming from CCM, please give here or put here a like or a something that represents you guys here so I can shout you out name by name. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for jumping. Jesse, what's up, Jesse? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. All right, so let's follow up in here. What happened depending on what part of which oscillator you're using? It's almost the same. We already have gone through it. If not, go back to oscillators and indicators chapter. That will be where you should be looking it back. Oh, look at that. We have, welcome to alumni. Pidgeot Smooth, welcome, my friend. Thank you so much. Welcome. Let's see who else we got in the chat in here. I think that's it so far. Nice. Welcome, guys. All right. So what do we have in here? Basically bearish now, since, and let me just clear this up. We have too much noise in here. What is happening here? All right. Let's just say that for some reason, right, you did went for breakout retest, whatever, all right? Maybe you jumped in here, all right? Let's just even call it. And then what are you trying to do? Previous support, use your stop loss, and then you give yourself your wiggle room. If you don't know what a wiggle room is, you go check out the previous channel, the chapters. I would say chapter number 1, I talked about the wiggle room. Also, I talked about the wiggle room on risk management channels. In the Rock Crypto, what's up, my friend? Welcome. All right, just keeping up with the chat. All right, and in here, what happened? Well, you get stopped out. That's fine. Remember, there is just a small percentage in here based on what you're trying to achieve, right? What happened here? You have flip of the ribbon, but guess what? You are right here. Where is the gap, guys? Where is the gap? Where is the void? The void is above. So we are below the zero line, which means lack of what? Lack of momentum. Not only that, we are below dynamic reactor, right? Not only that, guys, also remember what we always do: rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We had this trend line, and now we have a further continuation, because, guys, this is just the name that we give it here. a fat. It's actually flat, but let's just call it a fat, right? A fat. What is it? A fat what? Pause. Oh, come on, pause. Of further bearish continuation, right? So a flat pause of bearish continuation. So what happens here? This is just like Wyckoff. Let's take a look at that and do Wyckoff really quick. Let's bring it up, guys. You know I love Wyckoff. Sorry about the white background. I don't know why it keeps changing on me, but let's just keep an eye on this, guys. If you're new, remember this is one of the most important schemes or schematics that I bring into the channel. It's important to have an eye in here despite this is breaking up. I usually tell you guys the third one is the charm. Remember, we usually have 3 pauses of flat continuation, and then we have a reversal like this. It is not a science. It's just something that I've noticed, especially on Bitcoin in the 4-hour time frame. So take it as it comes, as a little bit of advice. Just look for those, all right? What happens if we come here? We have a little range, a V-shaped recovery. We create a range. We're going to be talking about ranges today, all right? And then we continue downwards. Remember, when we're talking here about TAO and we want to calculate where a pattern, whatever that pattern is called, right? That could be either a range or a what? Or a triangle or a wedge or whatever you like, right? We can start predicting where is it loaded to, where is it weighted to, right? Remember, for me, ranges are 50-50, all right? But look at that. Since the range started, here we got it. We have this area below. We have this itty bitty area above. This whole area, well, deal here. This whole area below. So where are we hovering? Below. So it is loaded to the downside, all right? So what happens here? Well, then breakout, retest, flat pause of bearish continuation. Let me clear this up. What we do when we have a flat pause of bearish continuation, we look for those highs, we look for those lows, and we readjust our what? Our trend line, right? So there we go. We have the first one, flat pause of bearish continuation. The second one, and as I told you, look at that. The third one with a sweep of the lows. Is not about the breakout, guys. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? It's about retest. What happened here? Confirmation breaking above the 0 line, right? This is not your entry so far. You're looking for a confirmation, just like we were looking in here for a confirmation, right? And then you enter right here, long position, somewhere on your flip of the rebound. There we go. Where you take profits, early profits right here at your first resistance. What is your stop loss? Your stop loss should be in here, a little bit below. And since we are less than 1% in here, what do? We do half of an entry. The next half of an entry will be somewhere around here, because that is where our low are, right? So what we do right here, take out 50%, move our stop to entry. That's fine. Take us out in here. That is fine. And what we do right here, well then, we are above the 0 line. What are we looking? Big body candle. That's not your entry. It's not about the breakout. It's about your retest. There we go. Your next entry is right there. Long position. Right here. Your stop loss right here below. You give it a little bit of a wiggle room. You aim a little bit below of your previous high, right? And then you aim for your next target. Remember, somewhere below here, where we having a flip of the ribbon that takes your profits, and then move your stop to entry. It take you out again. Guys, have you noticed what happening here? This is the introduction for the chapter channels. All right. So if you have not noticed, we've been taking micro trades, right? Micro trades. This is kind of like a nightmare if you have not realized it, right? Guys, I think this is a fabulous. I don't know why. I just think the market is being so giving for these classes, because every single time that we need an example, except for the wedges, of course, everything is just being there for us. All right. So there's a little bit of a caveat here. So one, I'm going to be talking about this pattern. It's going to be between an up-ranging channel or a megaphone. I'm going to discuss that in a little bit. All right. But so far, I want you to notice how big of a nightmare it has been, right? Not actually a nightmare because we have been able to take trades, right? We've been able to save our butts in here with a risk management by moving our stop to entry, taking early profits. So despite we don't take a major move so far, right? We are taking smaller trades and we're building up our account. All right, so there's basically that's where we aim to. Previous meaningful lows, giving us our wiggle room. If you want to add your support and resistance, there it is. You can actually aim for your support and then give yourself that wiggle room, a much better risk to reward ratio, right? And then once you have done that, and I've followed this process since we left out yesterday, since we left out here, because I want you guys to notice something important. All right, sometimes we lost the bigger picture. All right, and this is what something that happens to me when I was starting and keeps happens to me, and I keep learning upon my mistakes. Right, so this is something that I really want to give you guys a heads up on. Right, this is the worst nightmare of every trader. And why is that? Because this is very demoralizing. Why is it very demoralizing? You see how we win? Oh, we got stopped out. All right, doesn't matter. Breaking through, perfect here. We go for the retest. We take profits. Yeah, let go to my holla. Oh, no, stopped out. Come on, man. Oh, all right. What's happening? Oh, look at that. Nice. This is my entry. All right, breakout. Look at big body candle. Great. We have a retracement on the resistance. Amazing, right? Just like the book. This is going to be easy. You take your entry, take your first stake in profits, and then, oh no, man, again, right? Come on. All right, I want that juicy trade. And you just keep doing it, and it just keeps demoralizing over and over and over and over and over, right? So we're going to be talking about psychology of trading far ahead. All right, and how to keep you guys sane while trading, and also sane while getting this kind of like caught out trades, right? Also, how what happens when you get a loss after loss after loss, right? How when to cut it out, so on and so forth. All right. Let me read you guys just to see. We have Harp in the chat. Welcome, my friend. Hey, what's up, buddy? Welcome. Great to have you here. Fine. 89. Oh, you're 89. I'm 88, bro. I'm 88. Nice. Good for partying, bro. All right, we have Erika, or Erica. I don't know. Let me know. Hi, Hispanic or not Hispanic, let me know. Just so I can pronounce it the right way. Well, Harp, what's up, bro? Orange juice and coffee, my friend. You know the deal. Who else we have here? Shubi, 751 username. She learned it from... I'm not your man. I don't know, guys, what are you talking about, bro? But that sounds funny. Who else we have in here? I think that's it for now. Okay, DGT, what's up, bro? Welcome, my friend. Welcome. All right. Talking my whole last week, getting it together since Friday. Oh, yeah, bro. I know. All right. So what happened here? You see how easy it is to start losing it, right? Not only losing it, we are leaving so much in the table. All right. First thing, remember what we learned at the beginning of these courses. Let's rewind chapter 1. Not even chapter 1. Let's go to trading with OC guys naked charts, right? Remember that one. All right. So the one that I have with the card glasses. What we talked about here. No indicators, right? Sometimes it's just good just to do a retracement and then zoom out. We don't want what we don't want here. We don't want chunky candles so far, right? And then you go, come on, how could, and this is the demoralizing part, this was easy. This was easy, man. How did I not notice? Right? That's why we always start by zooming out, looking at the patterns, right? Looking at the structure. Erika, hey, again, hey, New Earth, Gordon, what's up? What's going on? Welcome, my friend. So, what was it easy? Well, then look at this. Look at that. Right? And if we can see what is this? Guys, this is today's chapter, a range, right? What we do with patterns doesn't matter what pattern it is, right? You try to get as many touches as you can, right? Maybe somewhere right here where I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, right? Or if you're cool with this, go with that, right? It doesn't matter. But if your brain is telling you, no, this is the right way, and then I have some pushovers, right? Well, then what you do, you clone it, and you have your entry zone, right? What we've been talking about just by using the whack of strategy, right? And here, remember, when we go downwards and then we start creating a range, what is the first thing that we do in a range? We looked at where we had the little EDB range, the V-shaped recovery, that gave us 70% chances of ranging. And then we analyze for our inner range and our outer range. Why? Outer ranges are gonna be where the money is at for reversals, all right? So there you go. Either you do it like that, or with one single line, whatever floats your boat. In this case, I'm gonna be going for this one right here. Look at that, right? I'm gonna be cloning this one, so clone it. Oh, clone it, perfect. And then adding it in here. And look at that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Look at that. So what we do, we buy low, we sell high. We buy low, we sell high, right? Well, we just keep it. We re-enter here because most likely this was a fake out, right? So we buy low again. So, sorry, we sell high and we buy low again. This is gonna be still profits. And finally, ding ding, what we had in here, winner winner, chicken dinner. All right, so look at how easy that was in retrospective. All right, so guys, this is what is important to go back and zoom out, right? No chunky candles. So let's go and let's zoom a little bit into here. Remember, guys, that I'm most profitable in the 4 hours, but we're going to the 15 minutes in here, not only because we're practicing, but because we want a little more price action in between classes. We're just doing 24 hours, 24 hours, yeah, between classes. So we need a little bit more candle structure to trade, right? But look at how beautiful. All right. What happens in here? We also have inner structure, right? What is the inner structure? Basically, this one here going down, going up, going down, going up, right? And what we want to do is look for ranges, look for trends, look for further continuation, so on and so forth, but without losing the sight on where we are. For example, let's just say it, and let me where is it? Lock these lines so we don't lose these lines, right? Right, lock them. Lock them. Perfect. Let me just clear this up. Perfect. Let's just say that we know we're somewhere around here. We are here, right? Let's just go for the replay. Something like that. Whatever. I'm not even looking where we are, honestly. I just want to give you the example of, come on, what is my entry, all right? Am I in the entry zones? Well, then, first of all, let's measure. Let's apply what we know, right? Let's apply what we know. Let's measure how bullish or how bearish is that range, all right? 1 second here. And sorry, I got tagged. All right, perfect. Seems like everything is all right. Sorry. All right, so what we're doing here, hey JR, welcome buddy, welcome. New Earth Gordon, what's up? Winner winner chicken dinner, of course, of course. All right, so what we do here, we measure where is this range loaded, just so you know, before we move on. All right, psychology of the ranges, side ranges, 50 50. All right, up ranging, not being confused with an uptrend or a bullish trend. This is not a range, right? this is a range. Remember where we explained, right? What is the difference between a range and a trend? Usually in a trend, I want at least once or twice the sides for those regression. All right. In here, we are just having between a low and the next low is not the whole movement or the whole inner range, if that makes sense, right? So for me, for this to be a range, or sorry, not a range but a trend, I would like to have this a little bit higher up, something like that, where the retracement of this thing will be higher and being at least or somewhere around 1/3, right? Something like that. So just as a quick reminder, all right, usually up ranges tend to break to the downside, and usually down ranges usually tend to break to the upside. All right, nonetheless, I'd like to call them all 50-50, right? And then, as we talked before, the goal on any kind of pattern, it is within its boundaries. It is not on the predicted breakout percentage. The next thing that we're going to be doing is what we learn, applying the knowledge. All right, is this range loaded? Is it 50-50? Why not? Let's measure it, right? Let's go for that box. Where's the box? Here it is. Since it started, all right, we started here a little bit bad, but that's fine. And then bullish, 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 still here, right? Then bearish, still here. Bullish, oh, come on. Bullish all the way here. Bearish, oh, this is difficult. All right, this is going to be bearish. But here, remember, right here, look at that. A peak down, a peak up. Almost the same size, if not almost exactly. And then another equally sized, and another equally sized, and another equally sized. I'm going to be calling this area neutral. All right. Why? Because one is just taking the other one around. So we're just basically going to be chasing our tail here. So let's just ignore it. Let's go back into the last meaningful here, this one here. So that's fine, right? Guys, this one is up to you. Don't take it so much as a science, right? So just whatever feels natural to you. At the end of it all, we're looking for a big disparity to reveal itself, all right? If it's very close, we're going to be calling it a 50-50, all right? Here it is. Here it is. This is bullish. All of this is bullish, right? And all of this is bearish. Bullish. Bearish. And why am I taking these ones and not these ones? Look at, this is the only thing that I do take into consideration. Look at it here that we are getting very overextended to reversal zones, right? Whether in here, we're not, so we're undecisive, all right? Just so you guys have into consideration. All right, and finally this one. All right, so it's time for me to measure them, get them all together. There's got to be a faster way. There's got to be a faster way, but in the meantime, you just do it manually. Oh, come on, at the best of our capabilities here. I don't know, but this seems bullish to me. Might be an optical illusion. And there's a little gap between some of those, I just realized. Maybe if the difference is too high, I'll go back and change that. And yep, this is looking bullish. So far, the dice is loaded to the upside, all right? How big? Well, this big, all right? So far, I'm gonna be thinking that I could, again, Not over the 100% possibilities, but I could be breaking to the upside or at least making a big move to the upside so far, right? Why? Because I could just, I cannot stop anyone just to keep breaking to the downside, all right? Or to start selling TAO or whatever it happens in here, right? Let me just clear this up. So if this is, oh, but I forgot about that we are on here. So let me just do this once again. We have a little bit more data. There we go. I think that's it. All right, perfect. So at this point, what am I looking for a possible re-entry? If I already know the microstructure, I'm gonna be into the inner structure, but knowing that I could or I should be jumping in with a retracement. So what am I gonna be looking for? Maybe an entry. All right, so do I have an entry at this point? Let's zoom in and look for the inner range, if that makes sense. So inner structure, inner range within that upper range. So remember, if you don't want to just manually do your ranging, you can go here and then look for regression tool pattern. Just click. There you go. You have your median, top range, down range, and everything you need. All right. So far, I'm going to be making it manually. All right. And also, Chart Prime does have a automated ranging detection system. All right. That sounds cool, isn't it? All right. So at this point, this is what we got. What are we going to be looking for? All right, if we're trying to go higher, so we want to have a breakout, retest, and off we go, or breakdowns, re-entry, off we go. All right, we are still below, but it looks like we have a possible goose head right in here forming. Let's just give it some candles. All right, bullish divergence. Not for an entry right now. All right, there we go. We are at the top. It seems like we are not just yet, but we're getting to rejection zones. And there you go, reversal, goose head. This is our possible entry. Not quite there yet. Look at that bearish hidden divergence, reversal, peak seeker. We are getting to our entry zone. And are we gonna enter? Oh, come on. Tell me that we're going to. Too many candles in here with a big wick to the upside. Not liking this. Getting a little frustration in here. We're not piercing it. This is the key factor, guys. Are you gonna be jumping in? If you are, because you're getting emotional, right? If you are, remember that in this point you are looking for the macro entry. If you're gonna be entering here, remember that you're aiming for your previous support and then give yourself a little wiggle room. All right, and then you're gonna be aiming for the next area of support and resistances, right? Or better yet, remember that you can add a median here, right? And that's gonna be, look at that, they pair very closely. All right, let's actually do it not manually. Let's do it. There we go. Look at this line and this line versus your, and it should be lower. There we go. Versus your what? Versus your median. I know it's getting closer, but or crowded here, but this is gonna be your TP number one, early profits, and then riding it all the way to the upside. All right. So let's just take that off for a second. Are we there yet? Not here, but maybe if you want to jump in here, you can do it. Remember, there's no one stopping you at this point if you're not that sure to do half of an entry. At the end of it all, you want to risk one full position. All right, so let's go for that, maybe one full position, so we remember when we are not that sure of that entry, but we're aiming for a higher movement here. So remember, I want to aim for a higher position, so let's go for support and resistances. Where is my stop loss? Right here. Where is my next support? In here. All right, let's add our next entry in here and let's leave our stop loss as is. All right, I would actually rather go for a little lower, but also look at how in these areas we're not hitting the bottom. So the same thing I'm thinking here, right? I'm gonna be calling for this area. In fact, I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna push this trend line to go through it. There we go. So we predetermine a possible entry. All right. I'm usually gonna be waiting a little bit more and rather take a less risky trade. But let's see how that plays out. And oh, did we? Not really. Very close, but not really. All right, now we have flip of the ribbon, right? But we're blue, we're bearish. All right, I could be taking this entry right now with the same stop loss. Look at that, the entry is the same. All right, the entry is the same, well, barely the same, right? But I'm trying to confirm that flip of the ribbon, so at least I have one move to the upside that I can move my stop to entry. All right, let's see. Oh, what happens here? All right, entry right there. We enter. So what we do, we move, we average our entry. How do we average? So from our entry to our entry target, the half of it. All right, so right there. Your broker should be doing that automatically, just so you know. All right, perfect. That's it. We have our one position already in place. The thing is working out. We just need to trust the process and see what happens in here. All right, let's go for the next candles. Oh, all right, turning green. All right, perfect. That's it. What we do, move your stop to entry. And are we there for taking profits? Not quite there yet. At least here, right? At least there. Let's go for it. There we go. TP number one. All right, TP number one hit. All right, taking 50% of what is left. Move the stop to entry. That's it, guys. That's it. That's it. Let's go for the next one. Oh. Is it going to took us out? Took us out. All right, that's fine. Not only took us out, and I went too fast. All right. Took us out right here. What happens here? We close back inside the range. Flip of the ribbon. Your entry at that kind of close. Where is it? Come on, long position. At this kind of close. I was just a little bit too slow. Let's go for this one. Why not? All right. In this case, if we're gonna be going for this one, I need to wait for that kind of close. This is the kind of close. Am I having the flip of the ribbon? I usually give it one more or a couple of more seconds in here before I jumped in. But let's just go for our stop loss at previous lows. Give yourself a wiggle room. Aim for the previous, a little bit below previous highs. Are we still above one? Yeah, full entry right there. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. We're close enough. Let's move our stop to entry. We'll see. We could be having a retracement here. When you start having that retracement and you are on to the zero line, guys, this is the time to take 50% out. All right, you can take 50% out and maybe re-enter, right? If not, that's fine, as long as you move your stop to entry, because at this point, remember, you're making a lower high, right? And you did a lower low, isn't it? So be aware of it. All right, be aware of it. All right, so what happens here? Is it gonna take us out? Perfect. All right, great. Do you take 50%? No. If you didn't, or yes, if you did, perfect. That's it. You do nothing here. If you didn't, now is the time to take your 50%. All right. There we go, much better. And ding, ding, ding. What's this? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And what we do here, we just let it ride, guys. Let it ride. Let it ride. All right, right here, zooming out at the top. What are you going to be doing at this point? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Are you going to be taking it fully? I would. Why? We're at the top of the range. What we do at the top of the range? We sell at the top of the range. Unless we break out with a big body candle, retest, entry zones, and off we go. All right? So let's do it. So at this point, I'm going to be taking and closing that trade. All right? Perfect. That's it. Let's see how that plays out. I don't know how long do we still have? Oh, look at that. All right. We have a retracement. Look at that higher low. All right. This could be your re-entry. All right. Right here. This could be your re-entry. We're still not above the zero line. Let's just give it one more candles in there. All right. Let's see. Oh, perfect. Great. Oh, now we have a flip of the ribbon. Very close to bouncing areas. Should we be waiting for it? I don't know. I think we need to put on a higher low. So higher low, maybe something like that, and off we go. All right. And let's see. Let's just wait maybe for that piercing through. All right, piercing through. My entry. There it is. Re-entry, long position. I'm halfway. I am halfway. This is not a full entry. This is half of a position. My stop at previous low. Give myself a wiggle room. Half of an entry. TP number 1 somewhere around here. All right. Oh. All right. And that's it. That's where we are right now. All right, perfect. At this point, I believe that we're going to be ranging throughout this area. Right here, we're still above the 0 line. I want to see where my dynamic reactor is. And also, I want to see there we go. My consolidation score is 9. Very close to be breaking through. If you have not entered here, it's not a time. Maybe you can wait for the next rebound here. That could be your entry. Again, half of a position. Stop loss in here. We already have a low. So we have that low in here. Add yourself that wiggle room. And then remember, this is half of a position. I'd rather get stopped out in here and then maybe have a better chance re-enter somewhere around here, but that's up to you. You can also go through previous lows, give yourself a wiggle room. I would aim just a little bit below here and aim for my next entry somewhere around here. This is a far stretch still. This is a 1.49. 1.49 risk reward ratio, right? I'd rather, just so you know, I'd rather get stopped out right here, and that's gonna be it. In fact, just a little bit below dynamic reactor. I'd rather get stopped out and then re-enter somewhere around there. But other than that, we're bullish. We should be aiming for a high. All right, perfect. This is what we got for an up range, right? Again, this is fairly bullish. We can see it right here. Look at the bigger chunks, smaller chunks below, right? We already have made the measurements, and this other measurement also points out at a possible breakout to the upside. Something that we could be missing out in here, guys, and this is where I want to make a pause again. What we have learned. We have learned triangles. We have learned wedges. We are talking about now advanced trading on ranges. Why? Because at this point, this is just not regular sideways trading. We are going into a possible range. Slightly tilted up ranging, which is not a trend. That is important because usually they break to the downside. We need to see that equilibrium maybe shifting before we commit to that. But what I want to show you, once again, it is inner structure. All right. What are we having for this inner structure in here? High, low, right? Maybe we could be going for this high and maybe this other one in here, something like that. All right. And then calling this an anomaly and then going for this low to the upside, basically creating a triangle. Depending on which line makes sense to you, and regardless, remember, it doesn't matter as long as you have some lines. All right. Triangle is the best friend, the second best friend of humans. First are ducks. If you're a cat person, don't take it the wrong way. All right. So what do we have here? If you're looking at the first symmetrical triangle, perfect. It's not about the breakout. It's about your retest. You have the ways to go to the upside. This is going to be your next entry for a movement to the upside. Here, Bad Doggy, what's up, bro? Welcome. I just took a stab at a Sui long. Oh, we can go take a look at Sui. Is it ranging? I want to party with Uncle Jesse and OC. That'll be amazing username. Let's try to get that. That'll be so cool, bro. All right. Looked like it was at the bottom of our range. Perfect. We can do that next up. What time frame are you looking at there? Kill a fan. Let me know. All right. So inner range, right? Sorry, inner structure within a range. Perfect. At this point, what do we do? All right. Here, well, we either wait or take the trade. We are on basis. So I'd rather wait for a little bit. All right. So what could happen here? Again, go back to basics. All right. our bases. And then, do we have a trend line? Yes, we have another trend line in there. So, if we break a trend line and we do this, we could keep going downwards. All right. So still, we need a little bit more here. If we're going downwards, we're going to be losing that zero line for sure. Let's take a look at a couple of other indicators that we're using, free indicators. That is going to be the RSI primed. All right. So right here, we're in the middle. Nothing for sure. It looks like we have a double tapping here. Not that cool. All right. Last time we had some double tops. Let me see if I can find them. Well, maybe here. All right. Look at that. We went downwards in here. So this is not exactly the same. It's not that at the top. This could also be maybe another range. All right. So we're going to trade it as a range. All right. 50-50. All right. How do you jump into this trend? If it's going to be a bullish trend, like this. If it's going to be a bearish trend, like that. All right. Perfect. Let's go to Sui. Let me know. Did you give me the time frame? 1 hour and 1 hour, 4 hours. Perfect. Let's take a look at Sui, right? Was it Sui? Let me read it. I live in Spain. Oh, ole! I live in Spain. Any thoughts of how those power outages might affect price? All right, power outages. Is it worldwide? Why are they causing them? Maybe I can give you an insight of that. But in the meantime, try to go solar, man. That's what I did. I live in Mexico. Power outages. Just so you know, I'm right now located on the peninsula of Yucatan. I moved between Cozumel, Playa del Carmen, Cancun, and Merida. And right now that is the hot season. Everything gets overloaded. In previous years, the energy collapsed, right? Usually when you're trading, you just can't, right? Open trades, nothing really happens because you have your cell phone, right? So talking about retail, not much happens because you have cell phones. Talking about big industries, well, then they should be having generators backed up by internet. If you have fiber optics or copper, usually that doesn't go out, but still that will be kind of like an impact. It usually withdraws volume out of the trading space, all right? But what I decided last year is to accumulate as much money as I could. So this year I could be going solar, and I'm happy to tell you that I'm fully solar. So, I mean, I can have everything turned on, all of the ACs, all of my computers, everything. I still have some more power left for mining in the day, right? And then throughout the night, I do have batteries. So if you take slight advices, friendly advices, that will be my advice. Try to go off power. So you're cutting it out, and yeah. I actually, you know what? I actually messed up with energy, guys. So if you know, you know. I did not pay my bill of purpose. I let them come here because they physically come because of my meter. And then they said, hey, you working? And I was, yes, I am. All right, you did not pay. All right, I'm aware of. All right, we're going to cut your power. And I was, all right, go for it. And then they were like, because I got beef with those guys, all right? I don't know how much I can tell you. I just got beef. Let's just leave it like that, right? Let's just leave it like that. And then I turned on the garage lights so they could see it. And then they spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out why I keep half power when they unplug the meter. So it was just so fun, man. But still, that's all right. Let's go to Sui. Sorry for that. Let's it's crypto. Perfect. We got it right here. Sui, 1 hour and 4 hours. Let me just clear this up so we don't have such a mess. We do have this that is locked. Yep. You mentioned between 4 hours. 4 hours. Ooh, nice. All right. This is something interesting. We could be forming a range, a flat range. But look at that. We have a higher high. This is looking too toppy for me. All right. Look at your reversal. Look at how thin or how compressed your clouds are. You see that? Look at your triple bearish divergence. All right. And, well, then let's just chart this. All right. We have, oh, come on. We have a support line right here. Perfect. And let's just go for the previous picture, which could have been triangle. We have the breakout, retest. There's only one thing that could save us, not losing the support. Where is our SMA combo? Look at the size of the drop. All right, at this point, where is our SMA combo? Sorry, our supports. All right, our first support is right here. We could be going here, flip of the ribbon, and if we have this flip of the ribbon, oh man, we could continue going upwards. But so far, right, based on what I'm seeing, let's treat this as an ongoing or about to confirm pattern, double top, right? I'd rather plan for the worst case scenario. In this case, my worst case scenario would be, and let's bring on chunky candles just for a little bit here. There we go. It is that we have a top, all right? Remember, pattern morphology, right? This gonna be, this could be, I'm trying to wedge my support line, remember, between this and this. If you don't know why am I wedging it, or what do I mean with wedging it, go check out the chapters on trend line support and resistances. All right, so I tried to wedge it from a support and a resistance, right? Something like that. Give me, there we go, the neckline, and then pattern should, it could, look at that, be, if not exactly very close, pattern like this. All right, and is this close? Oh boy, that it is. I mean, complete horizontal right there. It's just slightly bigger. Look at that. All right, so far we already have defined upper range, lower range, right? This is a range so far, a possible about to confirm double top. So what we do here, well, let's apply what we have learned. We long the support, right? If you want to long it, but your confirmation is going to be your flip of the ribbon. All right. All right, this is the 4 hour. Maybe it's going to take too long here. Let's go and visit the 1 hour. We're going to have much more market market structure. All right, let me just get rid of this right here. Let's go basic, right? Rinse and repeat, remember, right? Rinse and repeat, remember. All right, whatever. All right, and what I'm trying to see here, or do here, is to catch a rhythm. All right, so I go for, all right, perfect, a trend, breakout, retest your entry, off you go, previous high, takes your profit, oop, all right, beautiful fake out, this is a fake out, then go up, all right, breakout, retest, we have a secondary bouncing here, we can draw a trend line. So what we need to do or see here is either a fat pause of bearish continuation or create a higher low. I think dynamic reactor is coming in strong, so I believe we're gonna have a itty bitty tiny flat pause of bearish continuation, and then we're gonna do some sweep of the lows in here. All right, we're still bullish. The 1 hour, we're still bullish. The 4 hour, I mean, we are still very bullish, but look at our possible target. All right, so let's go once again to the 1 hour and let's compare where is our 4 hour target, all the way down here. All right, so what could we be maybe expecting? I would wait for either a bounce taking these highs and putting in another high. This is going to go for here to here, taking 50% out and wait for the next movement. All right, or better yet, much better yet, flat pause of bearish continuation, your entry for a long, looking not to create a dead cat bounce. If we create a dead cat bounce, remember what we want to be looking at, it's tiny candles, right? Or tiny candles, change of color, right? Or flip of the ribbon, all right? Oh, but somewhere around here. There we go, flip of the ribbon. And then right here is where you take your 50% out, move your stop to entry, right? You can open up right here a long or a short, all right? Half of an entry short. Off we go, right? And if off we go, we break out. If we break out that neckline, most likely, or almost definitely, we're going to be putting here a lower high. So we're expecting at least a lower low to the next area of supports. Let's see that. You want to use indicators? Perfect, let's do it. There we go. Where's our next area of support? Here and here. Pairing with your dynamic reactor. Boom shakalaka. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. So hopefully you have enjoyed today's show. Let's just wrap it up with the last piece of information, which is between, let's go back to, where was it? Oh man, what was it? TAO, right? TAO. And that is just to clear the difference between a megaphone and a range. And I know you may say, all right, dude, I know, right? I mean, this is a broadening wedge or a megaphone, right? I mean, how could I ever confuse it with a range? Well, let me show you when, oh man. Oh, this is 1 hour, I see why. All right, let me show you when it could be confused with a range. Let me just clear this up. And I no longer see it, but here it is. All right, perfect. I was looking at bigger range, but no. Is this a range or is this a megaphone? We treat it as a range, right? But if we're strict here, I mean, is this an anomaly, a fake out? Right? If this is a range, we can clone this, right? And basically put it at the top. We sort of can, right? And what we usually do when we do this, we clone it and we have our outer range, inner range, right? We do the same thing here, clone it, and we have our inner range, outer range. But if we start getting a little bit squeezed here, all right, let me just add a new line just so we can distinguish it. Let's go with a full line, and also let's change the color to blue. All right, we could be saying that this is a megaphone, and you will also be right. You see that? So which one is it? A range with two fake outs or a megaphone, right? So usually in this case, where both depending on what you see, both of those pictures played out nicely, I would say go for the best areas of support. Like for example, I know this could look like the best because they're the tippy tops, right? But I would actually debatably or arguably say or tell you that I'd rather take these ones, because I can also put in here a stop loss to my previous highs, add my wiggle room, and make a much better profit. In that case, I would actually call it a range with fake out zones. But regardless what you look at, remember that needs to make sense to you. There's always going to be that guy to tell you that you're wrong. All right, there's always going to be that guy to tell you that you're doing it wrong. All right, as long as it makes sense for you and you can define a very nice or neat area of entry with confluence, and that is the keyword, guys, confluence or confluence, whatever you want to call it, confluence or confluence. Right? As long as you can define that confluence, confine with your oscillator, you are doing it right. All right? Remember to follow your strategy. Remember that right now we have all of the indicators to your left, right? Remember that you can rely on those. Remember what we have learned, right? Remember that you can wait out either that range or that megaphone, right? If for some reason you are defining something that is just breaking your head, define it as your worst case scenario and prepare to get out successfully at that worst case scenario. All right. So having said that, guys, thank you so much for joining, and see you guys tomorrow with the next part of chapter number 10. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Hey, I see MJ in the house. Welcome. Thank you, honey. Guys, and as always, see you guys tomorrow.